The Samira that's now no longer relevant, and the Victor that they play almost every single game, whether it's UCal or not.
Well, we have no subs by the looks of things, as KT will be keeping their current roster. DRX, of course, will be keeping theirs as well, because there are no changes when it comes to that. And let's see how things do change. So far, no difference with what the teams have chosen to ban, but Udyr being banned on red right now here for KT makes a lot of sense.
Pioshik rubs his chin on that one. He's like, I see. I see where you guys are going with this. A little bit harder to play that Udyr pick on the blue side for first pick. We usually do see.
I agree.
The Kai'Sa. You and I were talking about this in the break, actually, off cast. So it means one. It almost feels like DRX get an extra freebie ban because of this. We'll see the Hecarim ban once again against Gideon. Only played it one time this season, but something he's shown quite a lot of in the past. Likes to play it a lot in solo queue. So not a huge shocker, and we're kind of thinning the jungle pool out here so much so that it makes me wonder if DRX will actually take the Lilia potentially here first instead of going for the Kai'Sa pick.
Yeah, they could definitely go for it if they wanted to. Rel is going to be taken away, and there is the Lilia ban, like you were talking about. So I do like that one being taken away. Does mean that it feels like there's no real first pick jungler, unless DRX do want to take the Renekton, which is now left up. Did suffer a bit of a nerf to the healing on Call of the Week on this patch, but I don't know whether it's the be-all and end-all. And it's going to be Seraphine instead, another champion that was banned last time around. This time left available, a flex pick as well, so can be going into the mid lane or into the bottom lane. And already, I'm still liking it. I just feel like DRX, I don't know what's happened, but their drafting is just so good.
It's so clean, and it just feels like when they draft for first picks like this, they just slowly build the comp around it. Right now, Aphelios Thresh is an opportunity that KT Rolster do have here. Hybrid loves his Aphelios. We know this. And last time the Thresh was banned, in fact. So not able to be played.
Definitely one of Zeus's best champions as well.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his Thresh.
This is a nice rotation back here for KT, but like I was saying, DRX have such a... Oh, there's the
here we go.
There it is.
I like it. Okay, finally. Seeing some Jinx action here in the LCK. Took us a couple of games to get there, but very glad that it has finally happened. And let's see what DRX's response is going to be to the newly buffed hyper carry, as it will not be Viego, because he's banned. As Pioshik going back to another one of his favorites potentially, but we'll see where he does land, as it will be the Dr. Mundo.
Okay.
Pretty gross with Seraphine. Of course, the Moonstone has been nerfed a little bit on this patch, but I don't think it's enough to stop Seraphine from being disgusting.
I mean, he's going to be so difficult to kill.
Oh yeah.
Especially Jinx can certainly in the later stages of the game help chip away and blow him up, but we're gonna need some sort of harder damage here, more consistent damage as well for KT. As we will see the Kai'Sa coming through here. It's just a safe pick. And we don't even necessarily know if the Seraphine is going to be mid or bot. It could certainly still be bottom. And that's another oppressive lane you can have there. It's very annoying to deal with as the Jinx.
Yeah.
Graves going to be the choice here, actually. Our first jungle locked in, and first time of the day here that we see that. But I think that with the Mundo as the choice here for DRX, you do need a little bit more damage, right? To be able to knock that out. And I think it needs to be more reliable damage than something AP. So I like this choice, actually, given the Mundo on the field.
Let's see what the bans are going to give us, as it looks like KT are just going to try and take away from the support pool just a little bit. We'll see whether that does just put Seraphine down there. Could theoretically be a thing.
Yeah.
As a Sylas ban is very curious.
Sylas is so good against Seraphine because he could steal her ultimate, and her ultimate is super busted. So, if he ends up stealing her ultimate, then he can actually get into a place that Seraphine can't, and then set up an insane encore. So that's a really scary thing. So I think that's the main reason why we see that ban. Even though we haven't really seen that as a counter pick in the LCK yet, I think the potential, especially the draft that KT has so far, makes it a very terrifying option.
Yep. Also, you can steal Mundo's ult, which would also be pretty silly. As the Renekton gonna once again be banned away. Now, where does KT go? They've got some solo lanes to pick up here. They banned away the Gnar this time, so they don't fall into the Gnar trap this time around. But not exactly a lot of just cookie cutter options outside of, I guess, the mid lane, and the Orianna is going to be the choice that UCal's going to head towards.
No great ball carrier at the moment, so we'll see what they end up getting for their final pick, that top counter pick.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously where, you know, they're going to need to find a ball carrier. This Orianna pick is going to be very difficult to execute and get high value out of, especially because the front line for DRX is insane right now. With the Mundo, it's going to be constantly healed, and the fact that they have the Seraphine there that makes it so difficult to approach a team fight is...
Ooh, okay.
Wukong, okay.
Blind Wukong is a little bit frightening because it's not necessarily the least exploitable pick up there towards the top side of the map, but there have been a few things that have already been banned away. Does give them a lot of team fight here on the side of DRX. My God.
And a lot of skirmish power too early on around the first few objectives. Blitzcrank! What's up?
All right. We got Hook City on the bottom side of the map.
Oh,
Thresh and Blitzcrank going at it. Of course, Jinx doesn't like Blitzcrank at all because, yeah, not exactly the most mobile. Does have Thresh there for a bit of a lantern, but can you click it in time to not be rocket grabbed to your death? That is going to be the question. Does confirm that Seraphine will be heading towards the mid lane, and I do like the Gragas as the option. This is actually what I was going to talk about for KT. A much better draft here in game number 2. Certainly something that makes a lot more sense outside of the making zero sense that they had in game 1.
Sure. I am very concerned about being able to get consistent damage off in these team fights. I think a lot of this is going to be based around how well the explosive casts go and how well the shockwaves go for KT to set up some of these fights, because, you know, Jinx has a decent amount of poke that she could put into the team fights, but if she gets in range of all of the lockdown that DRX have, I mean, Wukong can blow her up in a second. Mundo obviously going to be able to slow. He's going to be unkillable. Then you have Encore, you have Blitzcrank hooks. Like, positioning is going to be everything for KT Rolster, and you only have one lantern, so you've got one out, and then after that, you just have to be so careful. If you get ahead with KT's comp, I think you're a little bit less worried about things like that. But from behind, we might have another situation on our hands where KT just can't make power plays because they can't get vision, they can't control warding with the Thresh because they're just constantly under threat of being picked.
That's true.
With Killer Instinct as well on top of it all, like, you have to be so careful if you're KT in the later parts of the game.
They do have a lot of disengage options. They've got the Shockwave there to, you know, help peel as well for the Jinx. Explosive Cask is going to be so important here for KT, just because Pioshik, he's going to run at the Jinx, and what do? You know, you have to move this guy out of there because he does go so fast, and also just takes a lot of killing to get him out of there. But Dr. Mundo is another one of these awkward picks, you know, that doesn't necessarily do anything if you are behind. Like, if you have to fear the damage of the Mundo, then yes, he's a great pick, very impressive. But it's a snowball champion, so DRX are going to have to try and get some work done in the early stages of this one. And as we make our way onto the Rift, DRX have a habit of going to 3 games in almost every single one of their matches.
Yep.
And look, based on the draft, I think this is looking much better for KT this time around. However, they still need to play it out effectively.
Yeah, we'll see how the execution is. There is kill pressure potentially on the mid lane for KT if UCal did a nice shockwave, force a flash, go for the next shockwave. Like, you have to be careful with Solka. And this matchup will be very interesting to watch. We've seen, I think it's actually like 3-0. It's either 2-0 or 3-0 for the Orianna versus the Seraphine right now in the LCK. It's hard to all in as Seraphine. Like, it's very difficult to get a kill onto the Orianna, so you never really have that feeling of like, okay, well, I can also turn this around, because not really, actually. You can live forever, but you can't really threaten to kill UCal.
It's also a Guardian Seraphine as well. We've seen this a little bit coming from the mid lane. Does mean that you do lose out on having any sort of keystone in the laning phase, but it just turns you into one of these ultra supports in the later stages of the game to throw out as many of these shields and heals as you possibly can. So, currently 1-0 is Solka on this particular pick. Last time was a bit of a genius draft out of DRX. Around the Seraphine, and this feels pretty similar to what they had there, but we'll just have to see how these lanes are going to go and how the Wukong is going to fare in this matchup against the Gragas.
Yeah, it's a very stable matchup, I think, for Doran in the top side of the map. Like, as long as he doesn't make any major mistakes, he should be okay.
I don't think it punishes the Wukong, though, necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's kind of like it's kind of like a slow matchup where you're kind of making sure he doesn't kill you, because like, if you make a mistake, he will kill you. You have to play very safe and very passively, but you'll be okay.
Yeah, and you can also push pretty hard on the Wukong as well, just because your decoy allows you to be a little bit safer than you otherwise could be. Play those mind games, which is pretty good as Sulka. Just taking a bit of damage there, but the dissonance is going to completely miss, so that's going to help him out.
Yep. The way that Sulka is going to be able to kind of take trades here is a little bit awkward too against the Orianna. Like if he tries to Q the Orianna, then the wave gets controlled by UCal, and if he Qs the wave, then UCal can harass him. So
yeah, a little bit awkward. There's a bit of a Nimbus strike, and Kingan just going to immediately decoy afterwards. Kyoshik taking down his blue buff right now. Once again, Lil Ball skin is on show. Thankfully for Cloud Templar, he is not actually on the desk here today, so doesn't need to get too upset about this skin. Something that does get spoke about a lot.
You know, I never thought I'd ever see the day I'm casting a Blitzcrank game. On my main for so many years. I don't really play on that much anymore, but one of the ones I picked when I was learning the game many, many years ago. Happy to see him in a pro game. Big Mad Life fan myself.
Yeah, and this is actually the Marta skin. We see Marta use.
Yes.
He used to always use the Hot Rod Blitzcrank. I like to think that it's a bit of a shout out. My personal favorite is definitely not Blitzcrank, mostly because I just like definitely not skins.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. The old fake mustache and the glasses just does it for me. It's the good stuff. Zoran is starting to get control back here in this lane. Does have, of course, the sustain advantage up the wazoo. Feels very good about that. But you can see Kingan with this lane pushed back towards him. He's going to be okay. Doesn't have a lot of mana. And just waiting for an opportune time to head back and augment this build. Ahsoka's now starting to be able to push this lane out. Of course, once you get a few extra points in your abilities, Seraphine can just wipe out minion waves pretty comfortably.
Yeah, as long as you use your empowered Q, like you always get the ranged minions.
Yeah.
Like instantly one shot, and if you time it right, you can clear a whole wave. Love the patience at which Zeus and Hybrid are actually playing this lane out. So there's always a threat that you could get hooked in, but they're using the minion wave very well.
Kingan just hoping to pick up as many of these minions as possible. I think if Doran had hit a few more of these barrels, he'd be feeling a little bit better, but fortunately not so much at this stage.
Yeah, he's actually controlling this matchup really well, though.
Yeah.
You know, all things considered, like, this is a very great start for the Gragas. DRX still has both of his biscuits as well.
Kingan just getting belly booped over and over again as both of them going for a bit of a reset here as the wave is parked just outside of Kingan's turret. He's going to go home, grabs himself a Sheen. And, okay, Becca thinking about going for a bit of a hook, but the Lantern is there preemptively. And they do miss out on the experience of one of these minions, but otherwise it's okay. Gideon moving on down, but no one's really here to go for any sort of gank. And so far, this game very slow.
Yeah,
and let's talk about who this sort of benefits, right? Because KT, they have a lot of scaling elements in their composition, a lot of CC in these late game team fights. I feel like their comp certainly plays front to back a lot better. But DRX have the Seraphine, right? And they have the Mundo, and both of these picks, if they get out of control, can really take over a game.
Yeah.
And so the scaling aspect of both of these teams is
it's good for
much closer than you may expect when you're looking at an Orianna Jinx comp, right?
Yeah, and I think that I really like this for late game for DRX just because of their playstyle as well. Like, their decision making in the late game is so incredibly good. I mean, it's something we've been talking about all year. Sometimes they just kind of miss the boat in the early parts of the game, and it's like, well, DRX, how could they win this? Then they win a 35-minute game because they make the perfect proactive play. Piotrek is so good at that. So it's a really important war there for Zeus.
Yeah.
But if you end up, making one mistake against this Blitzcrank comp, and then one of your damage dealers is taken out, like you'll never be able to kill the Mundo. And if one of your damage dealers gets chunked out and gets pushed away, like there's so many ways that DRX just snowball and steamroll over you in the later parts of the game, especially 35 minutes plus if we get there. So that's what I'm a little bit concerned about for KT. Even though their comp does scale well too.
Yep, and they have backup damage as well in the Graves. Like, in case Hybrid gets picked off, like, it's not like they're going to be, up the creek without a paddle, as it were.
Yeah, that's why I really like this Graves pick, just because you need that extra 80 damage here, I think. Lilia is just She doesn't do damage quickly enough. She doesn't have enough burst, enough oomph to finish targets off. So I like this adaptation here for KT a lot, given the Mundo pick.
Right now you can see that Hybrid and Zeus have a lot of control here of this bottom side. Items completely even between the two teams, but KT now with the push advantage. And they have all of the control of the river. That's why a lot of that does need to be given over, as here's the double Cyclone. Pyosik coming on in here with his ultimate rolling. Flashes forward to avoid the cast, because Doran's just going for it. Wanting to try and get what he can because he knows that he's dead, but First Blood will go over to the Mundo, and that is disaster.
That's not what you want.
Already that if the Mundo gets out of control, then he's going to demand way more respect than you can possibly give on the side of KT.
Yeah,
and this has already started off poorly.
This is disastrous. And it was a really nicely timed rotation. The cask was attempted from Doran.
Oh dear.
Nice flash, and we're not done here on the top lane yet.
Yep, smoke screen comes in. As you can see, Kingen actually going for a bit of a fight here. He's definitely dead. So Gideon going to answer for that one. A little bit greedy there for Kingen to push out that lane. Doesn't actually throw his flash into the mix though. So not going to lose out on that one, I guess, as Becca goes for a bit of a hook. Doesn't quite land. It's still getting his eye in, as you can see, as we're going to check out this gank once again on the top side.
Pyosik just blast cones over, and Doran is just well and truly very, very far away. Then you see the cast comes out, and Pyosik has already pre-flashed it, and it just gets knocked away. But like, he's like, well, I'm still in between you and a turret, my friend, I'm sorry. And then he stays, Kingen stays, and Gideon says, well, I'm not allowed to be here actually anymore.
Yeah. Does mean Gideon gets to take down the Rift Herald as well. Thankfully, there's no Nas in this game, so he's not going to have that one stolen from him. So that is definitely good news. We'll see whether that's given over to Doran to get him back into a better position. But at the moment, as you can see, still winning out in farm by about 20 CS, having a good time here. But DRX are going to be getting to work on this Infernal Drake.
Yeah, and that's
there's not really going to be much that KT can do about this.
You know, we talk about Drakes a lot in the LCK, and it's usually about whether it's a Cloud Drake or not, and it won't be in this case, but because it can be a Mountain Drake, like if DRX get Mountain...
Ocean?
Yeah,
both of them are insane.
Yeah, I mean, both of those are insane. So, like, this is one of those moments where you talk about Drakes and you're like, okay, this actually matters a lot. Like, this is extremely important that KT need to start getting control over these Drakes and make sure that DRX cannot threaten these soul fights and potentially get either soul, whichever one it ends up being, because as you mentioned, both of those are extremely great with these Seraphim Mundo comp that they're running.
Yeah.
And even Blitzcrank is tanky. They'll be very happy with this.
Absolutely. Kingen getting a little bit aggressive here. Does have his Sheen and Pahage put together. But still not towards that Mythic just yet, as the Zap is going to go a little bit wide there onto Bao, and Becker is going to make his way back down towards this bottom lane. Gideon just biding his time, lying in wait, looking for an opportunity. Not going to really find it here, and is just going to vacate the area. He's got his chickens and rocks to take if you would like to, so probably wants to get up there and make sure that he gets through the newly nerfed jungle as fast as he can.
It doesn't seem like UCal's made any sort of attempts to all-in Solka or threaten him in the lane at all, and that mid-matchup has just been extremely stable between the two. They're at the exact same CSs. Hold that thought, Pyosik is looking for more here. He's spotted.
Yeah. Ward goes down, and Pyosik is just going to get out. But he had no jungle. He was just looking for something to do, and the hook going to come through a little bit late there, as the Lantern, I believe, was already down. But still, good preemptive Lantern there to be taken. Trading some cooldowns here, as you can see the Jinx going very, very well in this lane so far.
Yeah.
And she's a very, very heavily scaling AD carry.
Zeus's positioning has just been fantastic throughout this lane. I mean, every time I look at where he's standing, there's just no Blitzcrank threat. Like, this is one of the first times he'll actually be under threat. And he's already here with the Lantern.
Ooh,
oh, solo played by all three players.
Yeah, that was actually really cute.
Like, all three players played that about perfectly. We're involved in that. Bao, you know, he was just like hoping something was going to happen. He wasn't involved, but...
It's actually a little bit dangerous. If the Lantern's already down, then, you know, while you're traveling, then it is pretty guaranteed where you're going to land. As now Becca looking for another hook. Is going to find it here onto the Thresh. Flay is going to come back, but he gets knocked up. Killer Instinct immediately actually going to be stunned out of it, unfortunately. So not able to get the follow-up damage in DRX. They do get a flash and an ignite and a heal out of the KT bottom lane in trade for just the ignite. So
Gideon's here.
They're feeling okay about this, as now Bao's just going to walk into that end of the line. Heal has to come down. It's a Super Mega Death Rocket. was ambitious, to say the least.
I mean, I guess if a few more hits had gone off, maybe he gets the execute there. But yeah, ambitious is what it looks like at the end of the day. Just wanted to guarantee the connection, I suppose. If they actually do get the root there, then this ends up being a very different situation, but obviously it was very unlikely to happen. Scary moment there for Bao.
Indeed.
But, you know, still a very calm, slow-paced game here. And what I'm worried about for KT is will they be able to control this next Drake fight? Because then DRX puts us on that really fast timer to Soul, where the rest of that game, that later game where, you know, their comp is so tanky and so healy, it becomes a lot more difficult to deal with. If KT can actually get this next Cloud Drake, then they put a huge buffer on that timer.
I mean, to be honest, like, if I'm DRX, I actually kind of want to see what this team looks like with triple mountain or triple ocean. Like, it's just so silly. The amount of extra tankiness or the amount of extra healing would be so funny. So I'd actually be completely okay with them giving up this Drake and foregoing the extra soul timing. But I think that might be greedy, and I think pushing towards soul as fast as you can will certainly work out, especially given the fact that, you know, KT do have this Jinx that's going to continue charging up over and over again.
I mean, you raise a good point, though, because even if you can't end up grabbing this one for DRX, it feels like you're still okay, right?
Yeah, he's still pretty happy.
So, I mean, that's where I'm worried for KT. Like, they need to control basically the rest of these Drakes if they don't want that to happen. It's not like they can't win the game if DRX do end up getting that soul, but it just becomes so difficult. You're playing the game on hard mode at that point. The lead they have right now is substantial, you know, across every lane.
Yep. But it's not substantial enough, in my opinion. They managed to get the Herald. They got a few extra plates there, went over to UCal and to Gideon, so that's good news.
Yeah, I mean, they've got these in this slot.
Okay. Void Seeker going to come through. There's the flash. Zeus going to sidestep it as the Lantern is still down. Hybrid not wanting to take that, though. Is going to go golden for the moment as now Gideon turns up. Hook is going to go wide as now they're trying to get out of there. Another Super Mega Death Rocket flies on through as now Becca, only an auto behind, but is going to be out of stopwatch to try and keep himself alive. Bao is going to block the Zappers. Now the Cyclone comes in. Bao trying to find the Killer Instinct positioning, but doesn't quite get there. And now Kingan finds himself on the wrong side of the rift. It is going to the Shockwave going wide, and Kingan's still trying to escape, but he's not going to be able to. Gideon grabs that kill. Now DRX are running for the hills, but it's only one kill after it felt like DRX were slightly routed in that situation.
Yeah, Kingan's like, man, why am I the one to die? This isn't my fault at all. I came here to save you. Well, KT are going to get this Drake for it. So what ended up being an attempted proactive play there from Becca with his flash hook attempt ends up going bad. I mean, real bad. It backfires so much so that KT actually gets this extra buffer Drake that we were talking about. As Becca looks for the flash hook, and it goes wide. Nice dodge by Zeus, who's already got the Lantern set up here. And from this point on, this is just going to be a winning fight for KT. Gideon is here, and the teleport comes through, but it's so late. And you can see he was already walking to lane, you know, and like, here it comes. Becca uses stopwatch. He doesn't have flash because guess what? He used it to go for the hook. So
yeah,
he's stuck, and Kingan does everything he can to try to save him. But he ends up going down. He's the one who draws the short straw and loses his teleport, of course.
Yeah, and then KT are in perfect position to take down this Drake, and it will be a Mountain Soul. And that's pretty good for DRX. But we'll see whether they can actually take some control back in this game to make sure that they can actually collect it. Because as you can see, with the fact that Heralds and the like have been going over to KT, they have moved themselves to about a 2.5k gold lead.
Yeah.
And that feels great for this comp, right?
Yeah, and they're basically winning all their lanes, and they won that skirmish fight, only resulted in a kill, and obviously a teleport that they were able to steal away there too. But we don't know how this comp is going to work, how well they're going to be able to hold that thought.
Yep, that's a very dead monkey. Chain CC'd and obliterated.
It's getting better here for KT every moment that passes, but they've only one lane in skirmish, and a lot of this has been on Gideon. And I was going to say, I wonder how these team fights are going to go when they're on fairly even footing, but it feels like we might not be if this continues. Another hook.
Yeah. We've seen one of them hit so far, and that hook's going to land. Flame Chompers go down. Love the combo out of the KT bottom lane, and they easily, just in the face of 3 people, take down the support. Blitzcrank doesn't do a whole lot, to be perfectly honest, outside of trying to find these miracle hooks. And Becca, unfortunately, hasn't been able to find too many.
That's the problem with Blitzcrank and why he isn't used in professional play all too often is, you know, you have one really big tool that sets up a combo, and if it doesn't work, like, you're just kind of a sitting duck. You can't help peel against a more aggressive support, you know, that's going to come in like a Rakan or an Alistar. You know, you have some peel options there in lane, but against a Thresh, like, who's just going to defensively hook afterwards, you just don't have anything. You can't do anything there. You're not going to help anybody. You're not going to save anybody. And he has just missed the boat.
Yeah.
He missed the hooks, I guess. I mean, just straight up. Unfortunately, we're going to watch this top gank again. He just doesn't know Gideon is here, and he's got Gale Force, so the damage is insane.
Was an investment of a flash there out of the Gragas, but still making sure that no decoys could come off and
look
no
at the
chance
box.
of escape.
Look at the box placed here from Zeus too. Right after the hook, he's so perfect with this, and it's like, you're under turret, Becca. Sorry, man.
Yeah, you ain't getting out of that one. Flame Chopper's down immediately there from Hybrid as well. Just shows the combos that you can achieve with the Jinx and the Thresh.
Yeah,
it needs more respect than this, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Blitzcrank is fun. It's exciting. I like it. But if you end up trying to make plays and you're actually end up feeding gold over to your opponent when you fail, then your comp isn't going to scale up the way it's supposed to later on because you're going to be too far behind.
Well, now we've got gold leads absolutely everywhere for KT. And you can still see that DRX are trying to bide their time with what they're getting done here. And now KT are starting to call the shots. Shirley's going to come down here and bow. Unfortunate position right now, but Hybrid just going to get attacked by the Kai'Sa, who knew that she was dead. Collateral damage goes completely wide, and that rocket crit was a lot of damage onto her. And KT will take down yet another turret. This is looking so, it's like night and day compared to game number 1.
Okay, teleport here for Doran, and they're already rotated up, so they can't even stop this.
Becca. This is a bit unfortunate. Does get the knock up. There's the shockwave. Becca's going to stay alive for now, but not for too much longer as he is taken down. Encore lands onto a couple as the Cyclone doing a fair bit of damage, but he's so squishy on this Wukong. And Pyoshik and Solka now having to run away. These are the most important pieces, but if everything else is just dying around them,
DRX,
it's not going to work.
I mean, DRX are just pushing the envelope a little bit too far in some of these exchanges, right? I mean, this one is fine. Okay, Bao knows he's dead, right? Like, he's not going to go quiet into that good night. He dies, but at least he puts up a fight, right? And he's able to pull some attention back so that they can deal with the Herald a little bit better. But like plays like this, I mean, you don't need to try to force this right now. You're already behind, and you feel like, okay, well, we're so far behind, we have to make something happen. But with this comp, you really don't. And this is like the 4th time that DRX have tried to make something happen and have then just given gold over to KT. And now they're so far behind, I don't think we even get to talk about that late game anymore, where the window was a big problem. I think we've kind of passed that, and KT just keeps punishing.
And also, KT's late game's fantastic anyway, as Pyoshik has to flash to get himself out, does avoid the play, but he's not going to avoid his death. Doran just a massive, unbreakable wall in the front line. And yeah, he goes down to half health, but he'll eat honey fruit, he'll take a drink. And KT are now looking at taking a Baron because the jungler is now disposed of.
He can't be here. I mean, he's even if he was here, I don't know if he'd be able to do anything at this stage. There's 7,000 gold ahead. And, I mean, they have Encore coming up in a second.
Becca's just dead another time. This Blitzcrank has been, I'd say, like, I don't want to say useless, but I think that's basically it.
Game 3 inducing Blitzcrank.
And Yukal gets in there with the Shockwave. Solka eliminated. Not a chance for him. 3-0-2 now for the Jeep, who is just huge.
I mean, look at these numbers across the board for KT. Dominance.
Yeah.
And now they have the Morel Namicon. Slight buff on this patch. Super strong against the comp that they're playing against with the Seraphine, who's unfortunately been kind of an ult bot in this game, and that's all she's been able to do, because we're not getting straight up front-to-back team fights because people are getting picked on DRX, which shouldn't be happening, but because they're feeling so desperate to make plays, it just continues to be what we see here. And like, if you're DRX, at this stage, I don't blame you for trying to be proactive and maybe try to catch some players from KT out, but the problem was they tried to do this so much earlier on and fed over so much gold to KT that KT are just able to take small advantages like this and turn them into Baron plays. Becca's like, maybe I'll catch somebody here. No, I'm just going to toss a Ward of the Wall and kill you. Sorry, man.
And he pulls in Gideon. It's like, yay. He uses that to gap close, and then the rest of DRX really out of position.
Yukal comes at the perfect flank angle as well. Grab another kill. I think this game is well and truly over. Unfortunately, Atlas, we're not going to get to see that exciting potential as to where DRX goes with if they got 3 Mountain Drakes.
Yeah.
Because KT, like you said, they have a comp that does well in the late game, but DRX didn't go to the late game on even footing. They are doing it with one hand tied behind their back.
8,000 gold the lead. And the first Mountain Drake goes over to KT. And they're going to be very happy about that. And it feels like the use by date is really, really timed out for DRX. The Mundo, he's free food. Like, you wouldn't be scared. Like, if Hybrid has the Mundo running at him, he just shoots him.
Yeah.
And then he dies. That's bad news. As DRX going for the Hail Mary Baron by the looks of things.
Look at how, I mean, their damage is not great, though. I mean, they only have a Kaisa to rush this down, whereas KT have plenty of time to come over. They have vision of this.
Yeah, they got a control ward in the pit as well as KT gonna have to try and start this one up. Ucal over to the side, does have his shockwave back available yet again. In goes Doran, finds a little mini stun against the wall. Solka trying to keep himself alive as the shockwave lands onto the front line, and they just get completely obliterated. Bao flashes to get himself out, but Hybrid is immediately after him, finds the rockets, and finds the triple kill. And now KT, they'll grab themselves a Baron, and they'll say goodnight to this game.
That was such a really well-coordinated fight for KT. I mean, things could have gone badly there if the shockwave wasn't good, but it was so patient. I mean, we're going to watch it again here, I believe, and watch where Doran is like, okay, I'm actually the ball carrier. He just goes in, flashes as well. And then the follow-up shockwave you're about to hear, and see here in a second, is insane. It's not even
three people, yeah.
And it just ends up grabbing them there, so the damage output is real. And you can see, this is one of the only glimpses of a fight we're going to see in this game. It might be the last one we see. You could see glimpses of, oh, this comp is going to be hard to kill. Like, if that shockwave isn't as good, maybe DRX kind of trade back, it's not as bad, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, just too far behind.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like things are pretty donezo for DRX. You can see what they were trying to do with the comp, but I don't know. The Wukong felt real weird, and hasn't really showed us exactly what it's supposed to do. Going 0-5 is not the ideal scenario. Becker has been, basically not here on the Blitzcrank. Now it's an Infinity Edge that Hybrid, I believe, just put together when he went home. That's a lot of damage.
He's got the rapid fire cannon, so he doesn't really have to worry about getting into range of all the threats that DRX have. I mean, as long as you don't get rooted like this or caught by a Blitzcrank hook, KT are like, okay, we just throw them together as 4, and Doran is split pushing. Already got the bottom turrets down, and now he's at the top side of the map, totally uncontested.
Well, here's the flash in as Kingan's going for it, but look at this, KT. They just wander themselves out. Becker now trying to escape as Gideon is going to die. Bao getting on top of him there. Becker going to miss another hook. Off towards the backside, and now Pyosik trying to tank as best he can. Mini stun into the wall, will get shot down by the Super Mega Death Rocket as the zap is going to connect onto King, and unfortunately Hybrid finding that one, and now Ucal making his way over. A double kill now for the Jinx as Bao is in trouble. Flame Chomper's not going to find him that crit, not going to be enough. Sulka's just going to get absolutely obliterated, and Hybrid is hunting for the Kai'Sa. Void Seeker comes out of the brush, and Bao is mega dead. That's going to be the unofficial quadra kill, I believe, for Hybrid, and this should be the end of the game for KT.
It definitely will be. Unfortunate game here for DRX. They just got too far behind early. A lot of this in failed Blitzcrank attempts in the bottom lane. I mean, the Jinx is 9-0-5. And before the quadra kill, obviously 4...
No, it was a triple kill. I take it all back. Zeus stole one away here.
And DRX just eats so much damage at the beginning of this fight, and they take Gideon out. But it's a 4v4 now that they just simply cannot take, because as you said, Pyosik just doesn't have the items. And this game is too far behind, gets stunned to the wall, and there's just no way out. Like, yeah, he's like, oh, I would like to be tanking and running into them so you guys could do the damage, but DRX, there's just, I mean, there's no way they're going to win this fight. They're just trying to minimize losses, and unfortunately, we know what happens at the end of this one.
Yeah, and Solka just, finds himself in a really rough position. That shockwave did the last 20 damage to kill Solka, but he still landed it. You'll take those. The hook's going to be flashed there by Zeus. Becca almost managed to get his pick.
Yeah, you still have to respect the Blitzcrank, because if you get somebody, if somebody dies for free for KT, then suddenly, you know, DRX can start to maybe look for a fight.
Well, the thing is, like, I feel like DRX know that this game is pretty much done.
I think so.
Shockwave is going to be flashed there by Pyosik, but now he has absolutely no way of getting out of anything. There's the body slam flash out of Doran, just trying to start off some sort of fight as the Encore is going to connect, but not really onto too many as DRX trying to keep themselves into position. Becker actually doing a really good job there as they do take down Gideon and Doran. Hybrid is still the main target here, and UCal is there for some potential peel as that's a double kill. Now for Solka. Maybe I spoke too soon, Wolf, as Becker gets the flash hook onto Hybrid. I mean, he dies for it, and now they're trying to chase down this Jinx who's fighting so beautifully. It's not quite enough, though, as Bao eventually is able to grab this, as Solka almost just gets one-tapped by the Orianna.
They didn't know he was there. He actually teleported in. They had a control ward. I don't think he can steal this, but he really wants to.
Yeah, Piotr's got smite, so... Okay. He's going to be... Oh, he didn't actually have smites.
They barely get it.
More dangerous.
I mean, look, this is a game where this is... You know, I said this last week, I'll say it again. Feels like every DRX game is the most DRX game ever. Where they win team fights, they just have no place to win. And KT just overextend here. I mean, we've been talking about, you know, the damage from the Jinx, but Bao just does an insane amount of damage in this team fight. He's completely untouched, and KT's frontline and backline are disconnected here. And then DRX is like, okay, we're going to have to back away because we're all super low on health. And then KT do end up trading back here with Hybrid, just having insane damage. He's like, oh, you hook at me? I'm going to take you out.
Yeah.
And then gets a second as well. Kingen is like, oh my god, this guy does damage.
And also, the monkey does absolutely nothing this game.
Yeah.
And then Solka almost just gets bopped by UCal.
It's not enough to say that the DRX is ahead now or that they've turned this game around, but if they do it one more time, then you're starting to be like, uh-oh. And like, DRX make proactive plays in late game. It's not like this is just random or it's like teams just stop trying against DRX when DRX is behind. It's usually Piotrek who's the playmaker. In this case, it's Becca. But, I mean, you do have to respect the Blitzcrank, and if someone gets hooked, boom, it's a 5v4. If there's a really nice encore, then suddenly they get a wipe and they win the game. So right now, KT is like, okay, we have control of the game, but we have to play careful. We have to play cautiously because this isn't over yet. And DRX is the type of team to just control vision or set up crazy bush, party bushes and look for fights. You have to respect that. You have to respect this team looking for a way back into the game in the late game because they've done it so many times. They've stolen so many wins away.
And they just shouldn't be able to do it here in this game. Like, it's an 11,000 gold lead. They have so many of the answers required in order to take down DRX right now. And look, I mean, we're a long way from a Soul or anything like that. Baron is now available. They haven't broken the base. So theoretically, yes, KT do need to win a fight, but they've got a beautiful comp for winning fights, especially when there's a 0-7 Wukong that's supposed to be part of the initiation team.
11-1-5.
Yeah, right.
Hybrid. The Jinx pick seems very good in this particular isolated incident.
Indeed.
You know, the fact that UCal is starting to get full build as well, like he's going to his ward staff, is terrifying.
That's a flash shockwave. Hook is going to go wide as well. DRX now thinking about going for something. As we're dropping the beat, Hybrid is going to get tagged by that one. Almost did a damage, but did not, unfortunately.
KT can almost rush this Baron down before DRX do anything. Look at the vision control they have right now.
Yeah, I mean, they should be able to. They got a 4 out of Jinx.
Yeah, like this Baron just disappears. DRX have to come in.
Indeed. Well, they are going to get control of the mid lane. KT, they're just setting up. They want to fight. They do not want to try and peel off Baron or anything like that. Not going for any sort of flip, as now Becca looks for the hook, but Hybrid is, of course, going to be okay getting out of that one.
Remember, the Solka ult potential here is insane. Like, they have to be careful. KT grouping up like 5 like this. I mean, there's a lot of ways this can go very wrong.
Well, this turret is going to be taken.
Yeah.
DRX have no vision of the area. We've got a teleport back from Solka. He's got his Ardent Sensor completed.
This is a really scary fight for KT. I mean, they can rush this down, but they are really playing with fire. I think they're going to get it.
Yep, Explosive Cask is going to come through. That is going to be the hook that's going to connect onto the Jinx of all people. The Blitzcrank has been taken down, but finally, the Wukong is getting value. Bao gets into the backline. UCal getting focused. He'll be taken down. Gideon also going to die as the empowered back is going to save one of the Barons. But I don't know how they do it, Wolf.
This is
KT's
fault. This is KT's fault, too. You know, you have a really fast clear time on this Baron, but why you take a risk like this against a team comp that will punish you? I mean, this is insane. Hybrid dies instantly and it's over. You don't have the damage anymore. The big ultimate comes through from Solka. The charm is there. This is a team comp that DRX has that will just obliterate you if you're grouped up like this and you make a small mistake. and it's just not worth it. They had vision control, and they had a very fast clear time, but they got what they asked for. I mean, this is a very solid punish here from DRX as they come through. And look at where the hook goes, onto Hybrid.
Man.
And it was the second one of this exchange. Like the first time he missed, the second time he's good with it. And then boom, look at all the CC that comes through. Yeah, it's a trade, but you'll take that trade when you've got this composition for DRX. And now KT are just running for the hills. And now this is, I said it was going to take 2. Now DRX have a really good chance of winning this game.
And now Bao is massive. He also has an ardent sensor and a staff of flowing water on Solka. Like this Kai'Sa has so much more potential in this game just based on the itemization, right? And now DRX, they're looking for another Mountain Drake. I don't know how they do this.
Yeah, KT didn't, weren't able to control that many of the Drakes, obviously, so this isn't going to be them taking away the soul, because, DRX still has a lot of cleanup to do on this game. I mean, almost all the turrets are up. They have 1 turret, so they're still extremely behind. Don't get me wrong, but KT can't just say, well, okay, let's reset. At least we got the soul. Not yet, actually. Like,
and now Bao is only behind 700 gold. This is crazy. This was like, Hybrid's so fed. He's still, like, those 11 kills are still there.
This is what DRX does. They make insane plays in the late game. I mean, that is their identity. This is why people just don't trust them as a top 3 team, right? Because it just looks like, I don't know how good this team is. They make a lot of mistakes. But in these late games, they steal away games. I mean, they literally just grab them.
Well, they did just give away an inhibitor turret on the bottom side of the map. As King, you're going to have to leave. Gets out of there. Doran has the orb now. And it's just brute force on this inhibitor turret.
I love this play because KT's just like, all right, well, if we can actually take control of this inhibitor and get the macro back into our favor, get the waves back into our favor, then you can't pull a fast one on us. You're not able to, come up on us and set up for a team fight on an objective as easily. So, obviously we're still quite a ways away from the next Baron fight. His Baron buff is just now wearing off. Negative 2100 cold, but
yeah,
that's not really telling the story here. That's kind of a funky stat that pops up sometimes. But
indeed, I mean that's what happens when you lose a fight around the Baron.
Yes.
In fact, they lost 4 members. Doran, the only member who managed to hold on to that buff, so did utilize it relatively effectively. Has now built up about as many tank items as he can possibly find. He's going to be a tough one to take down, as Mortal Reminder has been completed here for Gideon, new and improved.
It's crazy that this game might actually be decided about a Mountain Drake fight that isn't even necessarily the soul for DRX. But like KT, I don't think can give this one up. And
also, if they get Mountain Soul, like that's pretty nutty.
Exactly. And this would be such an insane comeback for DRX if they are able to lock this one up. And it's also like 35 minutes into the game that we're talking about this Drake fight. That might not be the soul. So this game is definitely off the rails a little bit for KT, and if they just stay grouped up and play for the lanes and look for vision control around these objectives, look for the fight, not to try to start the objective before DRX, like if they start the objective with DRX is nearby, I'm like, what didn't we learn from the Baron last time? Just cross your T's, dot your I's, KT. I mean, this is still your game to win. This is still, a game 3 that we can play if there is no more mistakes.
Well, Solka, he's getting very, very close to his Ceres Embrace, which will be a big spike. Does have that tier already picked up.
These are the gold differences for KT across the game. Their leads shrink at 35, but I mean, pretty, that stat is, still 8K gold up at 35 minutes. That's pretty good.
Yep, it's the trend that's the problem.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of deep vision though, and you can see the Baron is going to be up in a minute's time. Bao goes back, his GA also completed. Hybrid already had his up. That is certainly going to be helping him keep himself alive. Has always been his defensive item of choice. Hybrid, not really much of a cleanser or a QSSer. That's just not his thing. We've criticized him for it in the past. And now at least he's just not going to be insta-popped. But won't be able to do damage if he's down on that GA. And also if you get hooked, then your position is part of the problem.
I'm kind of baffled that KT haven't bought more. I mean, they have 2 control wards on Thresh. There's 2 now on Doran, but like, There's no attempts to get really strong vision control over this next streak. I mean, it's up in 65 seconds, right? So there's a significant amount of time. They're more worried about the Baron.
Yeah.
But while they have these waves controlled, I mean, you could drop down one ward at least and try to get a little bit of a positional advantage there. It looks like KT is just trying to sell the idea that they're going to start Baron and want to force DRX that way. Because that's obviously what happened last time, and if they have a little bit more room, they could do it. Because again, the clear speed is insanely fast for them. Last time it wasn't fast enough, but this time with the extra space they have, they're going to say, okay, this time it's enough, and I don't fault them for it. Look at the vision control they have. DRX is nowhere near. This is way safer than last time.
Absolutely, but DRX are trying to get into position. They're not going to make it in time. We'll see whether DRX can find a team fight. The answer to that is also no, as we're dropping the beat, but it's sort of after everyone's left.
It's kind of hilarious. This game has turned into KT just trying to win with Baron buff and win with minions rather than team fights at this stage, but that's where they're at.
They are still very far ahead. But KT giving them a lot more respect.
They're playing so scared, but I mean, I can't blame them after the last few skirmishes have really gone DRX's way.
Well, Bao is just going to freely take this Drake. This is really odd from KT that just give that one up. And,
yeah.
This is going to be maximum amount of Drakes, maybe not wanting to have an Elder versus Baron trade-off situation or something like that, but I still think it's pretty odd. They will take the inhibitor in the mid lane though. DRX are just going to have to park themselves here and do their very best to defend. Teleport back here for Doran. Gets him into the mid lane. No Magic Mantle instead of a control ward is an odd choice, but maybe just thinking that his wards aren't going to be killed.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, I mean, that's the hope for KT here. This is really risky what they're doing, splitting Doran off. I think he definitely needs to regroup. Look at where he's at. Like, he needs to go the long way around if he wants to rejoin.
The crazy thing is, if KT, like, get ace, they still lose the game.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's nutty.
So, I'd be careful. Like, why is Doran here by himself flirting with death? I mean, Blitzcrank wasn't there.
He is extremely tanky. It's going to take them about a year and a half to kill him.
They also do have that ward over the wall. So he could see where everyone's standing, so it's not like he's just doing this blind where Blitzcrank can hook him at any time. Does have a lot of info with this.
Yep.
Lantern out early.
Well, he's going to get the flash in, but as you can see, maybe just a bit of an overstep. Oh! Gideon going to get caught by the Encore as well, and immediately Bao grabs 2, now 3 left alive. We said this, KT. We said that you can still be aced and lose the game.
Well,
that's Becca taken down, but who cares? If the Blitzcrank dies, you've just lost the game,
You lost
KT.
the game, KT Rolster. You lost the game. You were up 8,000 gold and more, 10,000, I think, in a moment there. Around 25 minutes, and you split Doran off, Lantern in early for a hard engage in a situation where you have full control over this map.
There is a long way to walk. They may not have lost the game just yet. It might take another fight, but oh my god.
I mean, I don't even believe that KT can take any more fights in this game. I mean, they are playing so scared they're making all the wrong decisions. Not everyone's on the same page. The Lantern gets taken, he goes in. KT is not ready for the follow-up. And there's so many tools for DRX in these choke points to control fights. So this is another one of those moments. Like, we've had 3 big missteps from KT Rolster in this game that almost any other team would have closed out and won. And it starts to feel embarrassing at this point.
This is just ridiculous.
I mean, look, you said it like,
that's not. We got a little bit overexcited.
We got
right? Because there's a lot of map to march.
I mean, there was only 1 turret taken for DRX before this moment, right? So, or maybe it was 2. It was 1 earlier. I don't know when the second one was taken, but point being, there's a lot to go through before the Nexus goes down. But I mean, now we're getting to a point where we are going to have that Mountain Soul potentially, right, for DRX. And
yeah.
This is a comp that where now all the items are online. And suddenly it's like, okay, even Wukong is kind of relevant in this game again.
Which is absolutely absurd.
I mean, if every time KT takes a fight, half of their team is charmed and Wukong's in the middle of that, then he's relevant. It's not supposed to work out like that, but if it keeps working out like that every time, then Wukong actually can do a lot of damage. He's very difficult to kill when everyone's charmed because they're like, oh no, someone's isolated. We've got to turn into this. Uh-oh, Seraphine ult.
Well, now you can see DRX are feeling so much better. This inner turret should go down, but there is a lot of wave clear. Thankfully, there is a passive out of Seraphine that is able to take that one down. Doran in a little bit of trouble here, just trying to be that front line. 1.5 minutes on this Mountain Soul, if DRX can get it.
KT.
Oh my goodness.
are not going to have prio over this Drake, I don't think. Like, they don't have any vision around it right now. The wave was pushed mid. Kingan's actually down here by himself. And everybody on KT is grouped up for a reset right now. It almost looks like they're having like a team huddle. Like around the Raptors, like, all right, guys, are we about to lose this game? Like, someone's going to have to make the call here about how they're going to engage on this Drake where DRX will have positional advantage and vision advantage. And like, the KT might be discussing, do we let this Drake go? And that's a conversation I never thought that anyone would even remotely consider on KT's side with the game we had before this. No vision, no positional advantages here. Doran, watch out, man.
Bao has over that wall, so many buffs, dude. Bao has, like, he's got a Zeke's now, as well as the Ardent Sensor, the Staff of Flowing Water as well, which does help out.
Yeah.
Getting you, you know, a bit of extra damage.
Okay, KT actually just got away with this. They were able to push through the right side of the jungle. They're actually going to have positional advantage. Doran's by himself, but I think you want to take the fight here for DRX over the Drake. You don't want to look for a pick and push mid.
This is very sneaky. Oh, Void Seeker does spot that there's someone down here. Doran is off to the side, though. He's going to have to teleport in to try and get here as the Thunderdome has been set up. Pioshik throwing out gonks where he can find them. This is going to be a 50-50 on a Mountain Soul by the looks of things. Pioshik wants to get him. He's not going to be able to. But now DRX are looking for the fight against the Mountain Soul. Is it going to be enough as the hook is going to come back? It lands onto Zeus immediately. He's taken down. Now it's a 5 versus 4 as Kingan gets in, gets immediately out with that decoy.
And now DRX like, well, I don't have to fight you anymore.
They're looking to just take down a Baron. But do they just lose the game if they try and take the Baron? There is no inhibitor turrets left alive. DRX is going to have to do this extraordinarily quickly, and there are 2 Nexus turrets in between them and the loss of a game.
The comp is just, it doesn't take this Baron out very quickly. I think they do have to back.
I mean, Bao does do about a bajillion damage to it, so it should still go down quickly. But KT, they take the inhib. They don't push to the end.
They don't have vision, so they can't make the call to push. They don't know if DRX is about to show up at the base or not, and it's just if they're actually rotating down from mid, like even mid is pushed, so they could actually be coming from mid to surround and kill them, so they have to walk away from this. At least they get an inhibitor, but for a Baron, so obviously better trade here for DRX at this stage, as this is going to be, you know, Gideon securing this with Smite, and then the hook comes through. It's actually onto Zeus, because he's obviously super far out. Look at how far out he is looking for that hook. He gets punished for it. Becca wants more. He wants somebody else, but he gets the thresh in the end. That's enough to turn this on its head and go straight for the Baron.
Yeah, and the cask as well just wasn't quite good enough to get anyone out of position to trade 1-for-1 in that situation. So I think if you're DRX, you're very happy. You know, you'll take bottom inhib for a Baron, especially a denial of another Baron. As now, DRX are looking to try and push out. They have pushed that bottom wave.
It's funny, too, Atlas,
a few minutes.
how the Blitzcrank in the mid game actually loses a lot of power, and you feel like, okay, well, this
but then the late game,
yeah,
it's that one hook, baby.
Exactly. The late game, you get to the hook, and it's like, okay, well, now you're on a 60-second death timer, whoever's caught. And then the DRX have such a tanky comp, they can sometimes even just literally walk away. It doesn't matter who they kill, they just walk away, like they did in this last fight. So Blitzcrank's real Omega power spike in the late game, just from his hooks alone, not because of his items or anything like that. Although he is making Bao a lot more deadly.
Well, almost read the quick draw. But now they're going to have to back away. And KT will keep their inhibitor turret alive. 2 inner turrets still available, top and bottom. And it might be that we are going to utilize this Baron to try and get at least this bot wave pushed out. Does make some sense.
Yeah, this is a this is just a crazy game. At this stage, you know, KT still has a slight gold lead. We're gonna have the control over the map, and they got the soul. So like, these are things that make you want to say, technically speaking, KT's still ahead. But I think this game is not really about who's ahead and who's behind anymore. It's really just about how these fights are going to go, what you gain from a pick.
Yeah, the gold's irrelevant because everyone has basically all their items. I think Hybrid's sold like 3 different full items to replace them. He now has a Bloodthirster in his back pocket because his GA was on cooldown. Like, yeah, we're getting into this sort of territory.
Exactly. So if you get a full wipe this time, as DRX, even with the even with the state of how long it took them to clear things out when they did last time, you do win the game for sure. And like, you know, if KT end up losing this game, I think everything we said in that last fight, it was true. It's still true. It just took a long time, right?
Yeah, despite the outcome of this game, in my mind, KT have already lost.
They lose.
Because, like, getting an 11,000 gold lead with this, like, very standard scaling teamfight comp. Yes, you're against Seraphine. She molds the game a little bit and changes it, but you'd managed to make this DRX comp irrelevant, and then you just took some of the worst fights.
I mean, it all started
now
off,
it's just even.
It all started off with that Baron. You know, the first Baron they tried to take, and it was just, from then on, they have played scared. This is definitely one that Acorn is going to be forcing them to review.
Oh, yeah.
This is like, every player for KT Rolster knows right now that this is going to be the one where you're like, oh, I know we're going to be watching this game a lot, and it's really long. Whether you win or lose it, I mean, no KT fan is happy with this. And it feels more like we're losing it.
Oh, another hook is going to land on Zeus. This time he's going to flash to get himself out, but it's a 3-man encore. Beat drop is pretty good as well, but DRX just kiting this one back. They have the W out of Seraphine, just gives you a lot of ability to maneuver in these fights. As another hook is going to connect, this time onto Doran, who takes himself a lantern to get himself out. Pyoshik, it cost him a bit of health bar. For Mundo, he just does not care. His Elixir of Iron has been popped now as well.
And we're just trading ultimates at this point. But they are going to continue to push this, and like
the war of attrition, man. DRX wins these.
KT doesn't have a strong split pusher, right? I mean, they can't send Yukal. That's just too risky. It's too greedy. You know, he'd have to teleport if he did to try to threaten another inhibitor. Inhibitor's going to respawn in 35 seconds here for DRX, so it's kind of like an ARAM-esque game, but DRX get to decide what lane it's in because of their comp. And so KT have to be very careful. I mean, here's the teleport I was talking about. They're trying to maybe catch DRX and cut them off, but it's not going to happen. And that's actually a happy moment for DRX. Like, oh, Yukal teleported. Nice. Take those. Yep. Now, this Elder Drake is going to be quite significant. It's coming up in 30. DRX completely ignoring it, it seems.
I think whoever wins this fight may win the game.
We've said that a few times, though, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not ready to... you know, to live and die by that one.
I wonder if anyone will win these fights, because it feels like we're just seeing trades.
Will we ever be out of this game?
Yeah.
Is the real question. I'm not entirely sure. Man, it's going to be hard for either of these teams to play at game number 3.
Oh, I mean...
Longest game, by the way, so far this season was 52 minutes and 40 seconds.
We're getting there.
We are certainly getting there as we are fighting over this Elder.
KT
Not quite in position just yet, as Pyoshik does have his ulti still available, so... this lower health bar is no issue as we're looking to flip it on the Elder, of course. That's exactly how this game should be decided, in my opinion, as another hook's going to come through, but it's answered immediately, and the Shockwave goes completely wide. The Cyclone's in here. The Elder Drake is trying to party alongside everything as Doran looks to get out. Does take a Lantern ride to keep himself safe, but Kingan's going to be taken, but the Elder is secured here by Pyoshik, but it looks like he's going to be taken down. Finally, Hybrid is free hitting.
Ooh, that's
Bao, he didn't really want to go in that direction.
Yeah, that's not where you want to go, but
Killer Instinct wants to take down Yukal. Bao, what was that? Oh my god.
He's got the Elder buff. I mean, he thought he's going to maybe get a pentakill.
Yeah,
not going to happen, man.
I don't know about that one, dude.
That was really risky. I mean, you want to take that fight onto the Nexus turrets, I think. You want to take that one onto the Nexus turrets, I think. 61 seconds left on his death timer. This game is going to be over before he gets back.
Oh my goodness.
What a way to end this game. I don't think anyone walks out of this game happy.
Nope, definitely not. As we are going to be going to a game number 3. Sulker is well and truly dead as KT take the least convincing game of all time, in my personal opinion. Nexus finally goes down, and yes, yeah, you can see Hybrid there on your screen. He's like,